So we're recording just in case you guys want to refer back to this video, or if anyone who's missed the webinar, then they can always go back. Water Rangers does already have videos online that you can go through, and they're really in depth and great, but we'll have some information that's pertinent to Saskatchewan. So I'm going to take you through your entire water kit. This is my first time doing this, so bear with me, but it's a really great user-friendly kit, and I think you're really going to enjoy using it. So first off, some of you may have already received your kits, which is great. If you haven't, they should arrive by the end of this week. So your water kits, they look like that. So everything fits in nicely in here. So I'm just going to go out through the front pocket. So the first thing that you'll want to pick up and read through is your field guide. And we recommend reading this front to back. It's not very long, it's very thin, but every page has more information on the different instruments that you're going to be using when you're water testing. And also every page has a URL link here, and you can just type that into your internet browser and it'll take you to some more information on the Water Rangers page if you want more information about that, like a conductivity meter, for example. So that's really good. So definitely keep that on hand if you ever need to refer back to it. And then next you have your notepad with a little pen attached to it. So there's a couple different ways that you can take down data when you're out in the field. You can either use the app, which we'll go through later in this webinar, but you can also use the notepad. And some people like this. It's more manual and it takes you through all the parameters that you're going to want to be recording. So it has date, time, body of water, the location that you're at, the weather, air temperature. It has, so you can just follow through like that and you'll record everything that you need to record. You can also use the app and we'll definitely show you how to use that. You also, in the front pocket, you have this. This is for popping your phone in if you're wanting to take pictures and you just want to make sure that you're not getting your phone wet if your phone's not one of those snazzy waterproof types. It's more for preventative measures, maybe don't be dunking your phone into the water, but this is a good safeguard against getting your phone totally soaked. So that's always really helpful if you're out on the boat or the kayak. And after that, we have a little goodie bag. So inside your bag here, you have postcards, you've got a magnet, an envelope. We also have a calibration solution, which you can use with your conductivity meter. We've got stickers and badges and just kind of fun stuff like that. So we are going to have a video teaching you how to recalibrate your conductivity meter. But for this season, all of your instruments already come pre-calibrated, so you shouldn't need to do that. But we'll get into that a little bit more. But yeah, so just a little fun package of different things. So have a look into that. You also have this just little cheat sheet. This shows you kind of the anatomy of your test kit. So it just has a labeled, if you're ever wondering what an instrument is, this is a good little card to just refer to. But you'll become very familiar with with everything in your kit. So, all right. So first things first, you will have this in your kit. So this is for reading air temperature and water temperature. So that's one of the first things that you can do. You can just, before you get onto the water, you can hang this up into a tree somewhere for about 5 minutes and it'll collect the air temperature. You can also dangle it in the water for about 5 minutes. You don't need to use this for the air temperature. You can definitely use, if you have an app on your phone that's telling you what to use, that's fine as well. And also your conductivity meter also measures water temperature, but sometimes it's always good to have the manual instrument as well. So next after that is we have pH. So if you are a previous participant with Carrie, your kit might have come with these test strips. So these test strips are very easy to use. But first of all, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. When you go out to test your water, what you're going to want to do is this is going to be your sample cup. So it's just got a little flip top like that. So instead of dunking our instruments into the lake, what we want to do is we actually want to get away from the dock or the boat as far as we can. And in order to do that, we're going to use this. This is actually a selfie stick, but it works great. So you just pull it up, open like that, and you're going to attach this to your cup. So you just pull it like this and attach it around your cup. Mine's brand new, so it's a bit, there we go. So you're going to attach it around the top like that. And the reason why we don't want to just, we want to get like further, as deep possible in the water column as we can, without disturbing any sediment below. So we just kind of want to really even basically. So you'll just do that, you'll collect your water, and then you can start testing your parameters. So one of the first things that you can do is you can test the pH. So you can either use it, depending on what your kit has in it. If you have a brand new kit, it'll have a pH meter. But first of all, if you have these pH, these test strips, they work really well. They also test for chlorine, alkalinity, and hardness. So basically all you have to do is pop one out like that. It's got those 4 little, you can see those, and you're just going to dunk it into your water. And then basically what you do is you hold it up against, if these are just like pool test strips, but they're very accurate. And basically you just hold them up against the other colors and you see what reading you get. If you have a pH meter, the reason why we have pH meter for the Saskatchewan program is because Saskatchewan has really unique lakes in that some of our lakes have a very high pH, like a basic reading. So if that's the case and you have a pH meter, it's going to look something like this. Normally, the pH of lakes would hover around a kind of a neutral, like 7 to 8. And these test strips only read up to 8.4. This reads up to higher. So if you are testing in a lake that has a naturally high pH, you're going to be using one of these. So all you have to do is there's like a little power button here, and you're going to press that on. This probe right here needs to be kept wet. So what you're going to do is you're just going to turn it to the left to loosen it. And basically this little, that just screws off like that. And it's got a little sponge in there, if you can see. So we always want to keep that wet. And it's best to use distilled water if you can. And then once we turn it on, and then we can just, all we have to do is just pop it in the water, and then we'll get a stable reading, and then we'll record that. So it's quite simple to use. It's good to have a, sorry, keep kidding. It's good to have a rag on hand as well, because then you can always just wipe off your meters, and it's a good practice to do that. It's also good to do that with your selfie stick, because this can get kind of jammed if you don't wipe it off. So that's always something good to do, just to manage to keep the longevity of your selfie stick. And so as you can see, you just screw that back on, and it's just like that. All right, so after pH, we have our conductivity. So the conductivity meter is really simple, is really similar to the pH. Yours might look like this, where it has a little cap. If it doesn't, that's totally fine. It's designed to be like that. And all you have to do is just pull it off like that. Similar to the pH meter, you just press it on, turn it on. And so like there we go. So the units that the conductivity meter is measuring in is US, or microsiemens. So that's the mode that we want to have it on. If it doesn't say that, all you have to do at the bottom is click mode, and then it'll adjust. But yeah, all you're looking for is US right up here. So same as the pH meter, we just pop it in and we take our reading. And it also does water temperature, which is really great. And just to power off, you just hold it down and then it'll turn off. There we go. All right. So next after that is salinity. So if you are going to be testing near lakes that have high salinity, we will have included a salinity meter. If not, you'll have the conductivity meter, which is fine to use. The salinity meter is pretty much exactly the same as the pH meter. Right, there we go. So it's the same kind of thing. So you would use this to collect your salinity. If you don't have the salinity meter, that's totally fine. The conductivity will suffice. So next, what we're going to do is we are going to look at the depth and also the clarity. So in order to do that, we have this contraption, which is called a Secchi disc. Amelia, I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, but is Secchi? Is that right?
Secchi.
Okay, Secchi disc. It's such a cool contraption. Carrie told me last night that this has been around for like 100 years and it like works so well, and they've been using it for a long time to test the clarity of water. So basically what you want to do is on the shady side of your dock or the shady side of your boat, you're going to slowly lower this down into the water, and you're going to measure as far down as it goes until you can't see the disc anymore, and then you're going to stop. And so say the water was, and you'll measure from the top of the water where it's entering to the disc. So like say the water level was here, you would measure from here down. So that's this Secchi depth. You might also see on your card there is just like the water depth. And that is as far as this goes down once it hits the sediment, basically. So that would be the water depth from the top of the water down to actually hitting the bottom. This disc only goes 20 meters, I believe. So if the lake is obviously deeper, then you're not going to be able to get an accurate reading for the water depth, but that's okay. So I'll put that in there. So after that, we are going to look at dissolved oxygen. Now, dissolved oxygen is not hard to do. It's just a little bit more time consuming. So basically what we have here is this little black kit. And it might look intimidating, but it's quite easy to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up. Inside this kit, we have the reference for the dissolved oxygen. So what you're going to do is from your cup, you're going to get a fresh sample of water. So I would maybe dump that out and get a brand new fresh sample. And we're going to get you to pop it into this little disc, this little cup. And the reason being is that when you are doing the dissolved oxygen, you have these little ampoules. They're made of glass and they have this little fluid inside. So with your water sample in here, you're going to stick your ampoule inside. And can you all see that there's these little ridges at the bottom of the cup? Yeah. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to snap off the bottom of the ampoule. It snaps really easy. And so you're just going to snap it off. And this is going to this ampoule will fill with water from your sample cup. And then what you'll do is you'll invert it twice like that. And you're going to hold it up to your dissolved oxygen reference, like so. And you're going to match it best, just similar to a pH strip. You're going to match it to what it best looks like, and that will be your dissolved oxygen reading. Oh, I forgot to mention that you want to leave it for 2 minutes, right, Amelia? So once you've snapped off the bottom and you've filled this little ampoule with the water from your sample cup, you can just flip over your timer. This is included in your dissolved oxygen kit. You'll wait 2 minutes and then you'll take your reading with your little reference. So I hope that all made sense. Just do the best you can. It's all a learning process. And before the summer's over, you'll be pros at this. But you can always refer to your field guide. It explains everything in there. So don't be afraid if you have to, go over it a couple of times. That's totally fine. And the ampoule should last you the season as well. There's enough in there.
Yeah, for dissolved oxygen too, I'll add on the comparator chart that comes in the kit, you'll probably see that some of the colors are very similar. They're hard to distinguish between the different colors and numbers that are associated with the colors. So it's really only worrisome if the dissolved oxygen is very low, because then fish have a hard time surviving and whatnot. But if your numbers are between like the 10 and 12 range, I would say to just try your best with matching the ampoules to the colors, but you should be good. 10 to 12 is very good. And yeah, of course, we all see colors differently as well. So with these types of tests, all you can really do is try your best.
Good, thank you. So yeah, that's your dissolved oxygen kit. And also, I forgot to mention, you'll also have this. This is for collecting your used test strips. So some recycling plants, they don't recycle test strips. So if you're really conscientious about that, you can actually you can fill this up over the summer and then mail this to Water Rangers, right, Amelia? And then we'll recycle it for you guys, or they'll recycle it for you guys. So there's that. It's just like a little, yeah. It's good to just kind of keep everything together.
Yeah, even if you just want to throw them at the end of the season, if that's something that you're okay with, to just keep them in that spot while you're out testing helps with them not flying into the grass or flying into the water, just losing track of them, because they're quite light, and there have been times where they fly pretty easily, then you want to go chase after them and let them fall into the water and have like a fish choke on them or whatever. So yeah.
Some crow or grackle will be like using it for their nest. So that's dissolved oxygen. And then that is pretty much the end of your, if you're using this as a reference, and then also on the app, that is kind of the end of all the data that you'll be collecting. But on the app and on the website, there is actually more that observations that you can fill out. So we'll go into that now. So I'm just going to share my screen, and I'm going to take you through the website. I think that's everything for the kit, right, Amelia? Okay. Oh, I think you'll need to let me share the host abilities.
All right. I always have a hard time with this. I might just make you the host. 1 second. There we go. Should be good now.
Okay. All right. Okay, can you all see my screen? Good. All right, so I'm just gonna get rid of these here. Okay, so when you get to the Water Rangers website, you actually might notice this right away. So it's just saying that your geolocation is turned off in my browser. So if you wanted to really locate easily to Saskatchewan, you can enable those location services, because if not, I'll show you what happens. It's fine if you don't want to do it, but it just might make your life a little bit easier. So you could always turn on your location services. So as you can see, when I get to the Water Rangers website, because they're based in Ottawa, so this is what's going to show up first. But first things first, you need to make an account. It's very similar to making any other kind of internet account. Just go up here to the top right-hand corner where it says sign up. You'll enter your name, your email address that you want to access or like have associated with your account, create a password, and then just agree to the terms of service. Click I'm not a robot. It'll ask you to select some squares, and there you go. You'll have an account. So I'm going to just sign into my account and show you what that looks like once you log in. This is your login page. Okay. So I should probably turn on my location services, because then it would just geolocate me to Saskatchewan. But if you don't, that's fine. All you have to do to navigate on the map is use this little zoom out or zoom in function right here. It's a plus sign and a minus sign. So this is probably one of the easiest ways to actually add an observation to the Water Rangers website, which is what you're going to be wanting to do once you collect all your data from out in the field. So I'm going to zoom out here and we're going to take a little trip over to Saskatchewan. So as you can see, there have already been observations made in Saskatchewan. You can see these little clusters when you hover your mouse over top. And when you zoom in, this is the easiest way to add an observation. So say we were up by, we're gonna make an observation on Tobin Lake up by Nipawin here. So I can see that some people have actually already made some observations. So this person, for example, if I click on that, I can view the summary of that person and the observation that they made. So I can see this was the observation they made. It was made in 2019. Now, if I wanted to make my own observation and say I'm on Tobin Lake here, and this is the spot that I'm going to be testing at throughout the summer, and I want to keep going back to that same spot. And I know that I'm going to be able to go back to that same spot. All you have to do is just get as close as you want, or as accurate as possible to where you were standing. And you're just going to click onto the spot, and it said click location. And what you're going to do is create a location. So you would hit create location. Come on, Wi-Fi, you can do it. Okay. So as you can see, this is where I've clicked. So I would name the body of water. So Tobin Lake, I would write that body of water type. I would click on this drop-down menu and it would say lake. I could specify like Tobin Lake, South Shore. We are not going to be using site IDs, so I don't want you to worry about that. Different government agencies who use Water Rangers, they'll sometimes use that if they actually have the site ID, but you don't need to worry about that. And then you could hit describe the location, and then you would hit submit, and then that would create a location. But if I wanted to add an observation to a location that was already created, same thing, go to map view. Now let's say I want to make one at Wascana Lake. Just go down to Regina. So I can hit the cluster here. Now I made an observation in Regina just at the pier there a little while ago. So this one right here. Now this is a location I've already made, but it could be someone else's location that they made. But if you're making it at the same spot, you can go ahead and add an observation. That means that it's the same location, but just an additional observation. So I hit add observation. Okay. And so this is the process of adding in your data. So it's very simple. It's going to be all nice and nicely laid out for you. So I'm going to be adding each of you to our new group. So our group this summer is called University of Regina Citizen Science Project 2021. And you will all get an invite to this group in your email. So I'm going to select that because we want to make sure that all of our observations are within this group for the project that we're all a part of. I'm going to say that it was observed by myself, so Erin Ennis, and I'm also going to say write down the date that it was observed on. So you could type this in manually just by putting the date and the time that it was made up. You can also just go through the calendar here. That's another way of doing it. Either way works. And then you're just going to follow through your notepad, or if you you're just going to follow through this. So you're going to select the weather type. You can add in some details about the weather. You can add in details about the previous weather from the last 24 hours. And then it's just going to take you through the list of the data that you collected. So your air temperature, water temperature, your pH. So your Secchi, is it Secchi?
Yeah, it's Secchi disk.
That's Secchi, yeah, sorry, your Secchi depth. So you can click whether the bottom was visible to you. You can put in your exact reading. So that's like when you find the measurement on your rope. So make sure, the only thing here is the Secchi depth is in meters. So you're gonna have to convert your reading from the rope to meters. And then after that, we have our conductivity, and that will just be the exact reading that you took down. Same with your salinity, same with your dissolved oxygen. Oh, I should get rid of that. Sorry, we're doing dissolved oxygen in milligrams per liter. So I'll get rid of this percent because we're not doing it in that. So don't worry about it. I'll have all the parameters listed properly for you guys. And then water depth. So that was if you could see the bottom and it was within those 20 meters, you could actually put in the exact depth of the water that you were on. If you want, you can also add in additional water quality tests. If you have these test strips, these do test for alkalinity and hardness as well as chlorine. So you can always add in those if you like. Nitrates and phosphates, we're potentially going to be getting into that later in the summer, but I don't want you to worry about that right now. And then also test strips for processing. Amelia, this is just saying how many test strips you used, or?
No, so that's actually, so I haven't mentioned this just because it's still not perfect yet, but the test strips for processing, that's referring to a feature that we have on the app, where basically you can take a photo of your test strips and then it'll read them for you. And that's just to make up for human error because of how we all see colors differently. So that uses AI. And so we're still in the process of training the model. So you can use it if you wish, and that'll actually help the model get better over time. But those results that it gives you should be taken with a grain of salt because it hasn't been completely perfected yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then so next you can add in any wildlife that you might have seen. So if we clicked on a mammal, it'll take you, what's through mammal? You guys all know what a mammal is. But yeah, so that's like a really cool feature. So that's always nice to include if you did see any animals on during your sampling. Invasive species are always good to mark down, right? That's becoming more and more of an issue in Saskatchewan. So there are some prompts here for invasive species that we do have in the province. And also Ice Watch. This is really good. You just simply was the ice on or off the water. It's just like a simple on or off. This is good for long-term understanding of like temperature trends in temperature. So that's also good to note as well. And also you can upload images. This is where if you have the images uploaded on your computer, you can always add them from your desktop, but you can also add them straight from your phone. So after adding in all of that stuff, you can put in some additional notes and then you just hit submit observation. So the nice thing about the website and the app is that they work really nicely in tandem to each other. So you can always create an observation using the app and then go back later on the desktop where it's easy to edit things. So now I'm going to take you through the app. All right. Okay, so you can all see my screen, right? So this is the Water Rangers app. As you can see, it's got the geolocation services on it. So this is right where I am currently, that little blue dot. And as you can see below it, these are different locations that people have made observations at. So if I wanted to add an observation, if I know that I'm going to the exact same spot that I was before, for example, this one, Wascana Lake, all I would have to do would hit would just be to hit add like that. Because I know that I made this observation last on like the 14th of May, and other people might be making observations there as well. And then it says, would you like to add at this location? So I can hit add observation, and it takes you through the exact same parameters that you did as on the website. So body of water, the location name. We're going to make this the University of Regina 2021 group. A lot of you will only belong to the one group, so that'll be easy to find. The observation dates, really easy to modify that. And then it's the same kind of water quality tests as before. So it takes you through everything, just like on the website. And then I would hit submit observation. Now, if you are just adding a brand new observation, there's a couple of ways that you can do it. So what you can do is, say I wanted to add an observation currently, I could click on myself here on the blue dot. Is that right? Or sorry, no, okay. What I would do, I would say, so say I'm making an observation right where I am, right where the blue dot is. What I would do is I would click on this first option here, my current location, 0 meters from me, because that would be exactly where I'm standing, and I would hit add. And then I could add my observation like that. That's probably the most accurate way of adding a brand new location right where you're standing. Or you can add from an already created location if that's a place that you've already been to. For example, Wascana Lake, Regina, which is what I just showed you guys. So there's a couple of options like that. You can hit locations again. This will take you through different locations that have already had observations created at. If you go to click on the middle button, it's just Water Rangers. That'll take you through more information about the Water Rangers as an organization. You can go to My Reports. So this is the one observation I've made so far. So if I wanted to edit that, I could just click the green box here. And then I could go ahead and edit it as I see fit, or I can always edit it on the website. If I made it in mistake, I just click this red button with a little trash can, and that would delete the observation. So online observations would be ones that would be made when you are, say, out in the field and you don't have Wi-Fi or any sort of cell coverage. Those will all be populated in the offline section of your reports. But as soon as you get coverage again, they'll pop up again. So that's where they're going to be stored. And then once you get cell coverage, then you'll be able to see them. So I think that's it. Amelia, am I missing anything so far, or?
I think there was just one thing. So whenever you're looking at the map, you can click on the map itself to create a new location too. So I think,
Right.
so yeah, so say you were to, I guess you could do it there too, or like if you were to zoom out,
Yeah.
say you got back home and you wanted to enter your observations from, the lake you were sampling at using the app, you would just go in and find that spot and then click right on the map.
Right.
Yeah, the most important thing is that, so with the my current location option, sometimes it is easy to accidentally create a duplicate location, because if you go to a location where you have tested before or where someone else has tested before and you press that my current location option, the app won't recognize that you are somewhere where there's already a location created. So it'll end up just creating a whole entire location, even if it's at the same spot where someone has already tested. So before you create a new location, I would just suggest taking a moment to make sure that no one else has tested there, and to ensure that you really do want to create the location, just to keep the data as accurate as possible, and to save some work in terms of data organization and management. That being said, though, so sometimes you might be out at a spot and someone may have tested a little bit far from where you're standing, but maybe you can see it on the map and it's a little close and you're not sure if those two spots should be counted as the same location. When it comes to that, it's kind of a judgment call. If you feel like the spot you're at is distinct and should be treated as a separate location, you can treat it as such. If you're able to walk to that other location to sample there to make it a bit more accurate, you can do that too. Some people, if they're sampling at a river, they might want to sample upstream and downstream from a certain point, and the two locations will be pretty close together, but they might have very specific goals for doing it that way. So yeah, you kind of just have to use your best judgment when it comes to that. But we do quality assurance on all of the observations added to the Water Ranger site. So we go through all of them. We look at the numbers. We look at where things are located on the map. And to the best of our abilities, we try to ensure that things make logical sense. So in case, mistakes are ever made or things are ever entered accidentally, if duplicate locations are created, usually we will notice that and we'll contact you to fix that, and then just to ensure that we try to correct that going forward. So, yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
No
So yeah, I know it might feel daunting right now with the app and everything. It's really user-friendly. And many of you may have the exact same locations that you're going to be continuing to, like say it's like a dock, so it's going to be the exact same location throughout the summer. It's always just easiest, you can just select the location that that you're going to be at, and just keep it consistent, like Amelia said. But if you ever have any issues, feel free to contact me. That's what I'm here for. So, and as you go through it, it'll become very easy. So I think I'm just going to stop sharing there.
I noticed there's a question in the chat. So the question is, are you looking for the sampling to be at the same location each time or from different locations across the lake throughout the season? So that depends on how much time you want to dedicate to sampling each month. We do ask that you sample once per month at least. And it would be good to sample at more than one location if you can, but you can only manage one spot as long as you're testing there consistently. I think that's the most important thing. We do want you to be going to the same locations each time. So whether that be one location, two locations, three locations, the most important thing is that you are sampling there consistently month after month, so that way we can see changes and trends over time. So on the website, whenever you go to the location summaries, you'll see trend lines appear whenever there are several observations. And what we really want is to get those trend lines over years and years and even decades. We do have some people using the platform who have been water quality monitoring for like 20 years, and they've uploaded all their data, and it's really incredible to see how things have changed, especially for things as simple as like temperature, that kind of stuff. The change in temperature will make a big difference in the water quality over time, but you can't really speak to that unless you have that good long-term consistent data, because of course water bodies can have a bad day, right? And so a number one day, 1 month, 1 year might not be reflective of what's happening as a whole.
Yeah, I just pulled that up because that's a good point. So say that like several observations have been made at the same location as Amelia was describing. You could go to that observation report on the map. So you would just go to observations. You can see observations that have been made from all over Canada, the United States at this exact. So this is River Keepers, Mrs. Webster's grade 2 class. So they've been making observations here. You can click on see trends at this location. And then you're going to see that trend line that Amelia was describing. So since well, that's this year. So you can see that through the observations that have been made, we can see trends in the pH, in the temperature, in the conductivity, the alkalinity, and these exist for all those observations that have been made consistently over years or months at the same location. Is that right, Amelia?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
think that was a class. I think they actually all did their observations on the same day. But like we have someone, his name is Guy McLeod, and he's been testing at his lake where he owns a property for decades. And so whenever you go to his profile, if you ever want to check it out, it's all open data, so you can find it if you even Google his name and water rangers. You'll see like the spikes. It goes on for so long, and it's truly incredible. So yeah, that was a pretty good description of it, an example, Erin. Um,
It's, this is like more of a local example. So this is the Broad Street Bridge, and that's Wascana Lake right there. So you can see that for the observations that have been made over the years here since 2019. So you can kind of see the trend in the pH in the water and the air temperature. Um, and yeah, so that's the website and that's the app. Did anyone have any questions? I forgot to mention, I didn't really describe, everyone knows what salinity is, measuring the salt in the water, but the conductivity, in case you didn't know, so that is measuring the ionic compounds in the water. So like your nitrate and phosphate and things like that, the amount that they can conduct electricity in the water. And this is really important for testing because too much salt or phosphorus, those can lead to, they can be an indicator of pollution basically. So that's why we do have the conductivity meter, and that's why that's important. So, but this is all described in the field guide in a lot more eloquent way. But just for your information, that's what the conductivity meter is doing, in case anyone was wondering about that. Does anyone else any questions?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. They are essentially measuring the same thing, the conductivity meter and the salinity meter. So there was a question in the chat. If you have the conductivity meter, you would just use it the same way. It's pretty much telling you the same thing. The reason why we're including different instruments for it is because of the fact that some lakes in Saskatchewan have just super high salinity levels naturally, which isn't necessarily bad. That's just how those lakes are. Every lake has its own normal level. So because of the way the instruments are designed, you just need something that can read a little bit higher for some of these special lakes. And with the regular conductivity meter, if the water is too salty, it could damage it. So the salinity meter is used instead in those cases. But yeah, whatever you have in your kit should suffice because it technically is measuring the same thing. So.
Thank you. Awesome. So does anyone else have any more questions? If you do have any questions that pop up later in the day, just shoot me an email and then I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
But other than that, you should all be getting, if you don't have your kit already, you'll get it by the end of this week. Our first testing weekend is this weekend, so May 30th. So we have 6 set weekends throughout the season that you're going to be getting an email prompt about. And that's just to encourage people to go out. If you can't go out on that weekend, we ask that you just try and sample as closely to that time as possible. But you're welcome to sample as much as you like. You can sample at the lake that you are listed down for, that you said that you could sample at, but you can, if you go camping somewhere this weekend and you want to, or somewhere this summer and it's different, go ahead and sample there and just have fun. Oh, Joni, are you picking up your kit from the University of Regina?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I was going to actually start messaging because I think there's about 3 folks who are going to be picking up from the U of R. So they're there at the U of R now. So I can arrange a time with you to meet you at the university, and then I can hand off the kit to you.
Perfect.
I'll send you a, what's that?
I wasn't sure if you would like to do that now or after this session's over, and I can text you or email you.
Sure. Why don't we touch base over email, and then I can we can pick a time to meet up at the university, and we can do the handoff then. Good.
Thank you.
All right. And does anyone else have any other questions? We're all satisfied. That's great. Thank you for bearing with me for my first presentation, but I think it's going to be such a great season. I'm so glad that you're all a part of this project. We're all super excited about it. So, and another thing I guess we should talk about is what's happening with the data. So like Amelia said, the data is, it lives forever on Water Rangers. So Water Rangers has their own platform, like I just showed you on the website, and it's open access. So that's really great. We're also going to be sharing the data with DataStream. DataStream is an open access platform through the Gordon Foundation. And basically what it's going to do, it's going to help create more open access water data throughout Canada, which is really important for community-based water. Basically, it'll help elevate the importance of community-based water monitoring programs like the one that we're doing here. We have a really big lack of just really good solid data across Canada. It's a really big problem. And like Amelia said, you need data to help inform policies. So and it's really important for like local community groups and also for governments and also for academics. So if you think about the big picture, what this is all doing, we're hoping that these community-based water monitoring programs really show that they can indicate accurately the health of our water ecosystems in our provinces throughout the country. So it's quite exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just add to that a little bit. So the amount of, or rather the lack of data that there is in the country is quite astonishing. In 60% of the country's subwatersheds, actually, we don't have enough data to know how healthy the water is. So that's really shocking. And the last time that this was, fully assessed was just in 2020. So it's been a problem for years. And that's why these programs are starting to emerge, because we really do want to address these problems and get data so that our leaders can make good decisions for water, which they can't do unless they have, the proper evidence to do so. So it is very timely and very important and very exciting, and it should be very fun too. So
we're the boots on the ground, right? So
yeah.
All right, well, if that's everything, Joni, I can send you a message then and we can touch base about getting you your kit. If anyone else has questions, please send me a message. We will be posting this recording, so if you ever want to refer back to it, you'll have that. And yeah, I will also be sending out the invite to the Citizen Science 2021 group, so you'll belong to that group as well, and you can start adding observations. And it'll be a great way because then you'll get to see all the other participants in the group. There's 42 participants as well. So
wow.
Yeah, very exciting. Awesome. Well, it was great to meet everyone virtually. I guess we can end it there. And I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.